Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Jennifer Namutebi from Kumba University. I am a business psychologist, and yeah, I do engage in a lot of work in business and education. Today, my interest is in sharing research on learning through marketplace simulations with hope of building a future-ready business leaders in a world that is changing rapidly. For us to truly understand why this innovation really matters, we must look at the current landscape. Higher education is undergoing rapid digital transformation. And as a result, it's demanding completely new kinds of skills for business graduates. However, as they are demanding that, we also realize that there's a key issue, and those are the bottlenecks when it comes to experiencing digital education. Some of the constraints include poor internet, weak digital systems, connectivity disruptions, unequal digital access, and a lack of interactive learning tools. This calls for a change in how we actually teach, moving from the passive traditional lectures to finding something that is supportive when it comes to active decision making. So that was the need that we identified, and that called for a change. We need to also find out before we engaged what are some of the theories behind that can help us to actually support this kind of path. One of them was the experiential learning theory, and it's focused basically on learning that occurs through experience, through reflection, conceptualization, and even experimentation. So we needed a tool or an innovation that can actually tap into that kind of aspect. And simulations enable participants to apply theory, that is what they have learned, evaluate outcomes, and also continuously improve on their strategies as they play around. But because we're also engaging people at master's level, these are masters of business administration students, they come with various baggage. They have stress at work, they have stress at home, and they also have stress now at school. So trying to manage that and maneuver and still deliver, we thought of the aspect of ensuring that their mental health and well-being is also taken into consideration. So that's why we tapped into positive psychology, specifically the positive education lens, trying to see how learning environments can be tuned to ensure that there is engagement, that they tap into strength, that there is collaboration, and then affecting positively the well-being of students. And again, simulations tend to foster this kind of environment because it allows teamwork, problem solving, and even engagement when it comes to learning, as we'll see. So what was the teaching innovation? We got MBA students. This was a qualitative study, so we got MBA students to enroll in a marketplace simulation. What you see on the left side here, that is the actual screenshot of the first quarter of what actually is expected in that quarter. So we had about 27 MBA students that were awaiting graduation for ethical purposes. We had to look for students that, because as the one who was instructing, so I had to find people who really did not have, that I would not really influence. So those are the ones who are basically done with classwork and we're just awaiting graduation. And we got them to volunteer to do this on their own volition. So in this game, we had three groups, that is group 1 to group 3, and each group had 3 companies in it. And each company had 3 members, so that is the total of 27. And we enrolled them in this venture capitalist game, which has 6 stages, right from setting up a business to full operationalization of this business. And under quarter 1, as you can see, you're expected to name a company, assign roles, establish personal goals and team norms, analyze market survey, all the way to setting up a production facility because they were selling 3D carbon bikes as a product. And target locations included Amsterdam, New York, Rio, and more. And then this game was played for about 6 to 10 weeks during class settings because we had to tap into the actual class time, which is usually 3 hours for a lecture. So we aimed to have at least them play 3 hours for each phase so that we are able to finish the 6 phases. What are some of the findings? Through the qualitative reflections and observations, it was revealed that indeed there was growth of our students in three main areas. One of them is strategic thinking. Students quickly learned how to plan long-term business goals and predict market trends because they were supposed to, because we're competing with each other. So they had to think strategically, think long term. How do I make myself, how do I impact, if I'm not working well in this quarter, how do I make the next quarter even better? So they were actually thinking along those lines. But also there was great change when it came to adaptability and agility because they had to make rapid changes. At times you put a product out there and it's not well received. So they had to ask themselves, what is it? Is it the price that is a problem? Is it poor design? Is it advertising? What can I do to change this? Because you have other people competing with you in this same game. And the market demands are also shifting. So they had to think on their feet and think quickly. And these are some of the skills we need for future ready business leaders. And then most importantly, it was also successful when it came to bridging classroom theories with the practice, because before it was only the classroom theories. But now with that knowledge, they were able to turn it into practice during these high-stake business scenarios. The other finding, which is now in terms of learner psychology, was driving well-being and professional identity. What did we find here? The business simulation game fostered a shift in how MBA participants basically perceived themselves and approached business decision making. One of them was enhanced strategic confidence. Because of playing this game at different levels, setting up a business, seeing problems and trying to solve them, strategically thinking about decisions, they had greater self-belief or self-efficacy in this. So their confidence actually to succeed rose highly. Then there was professional identity development. They transitioned from thinking as classroom students to acting as future business leaders because they felt that now I can actually run this business and do this business and do it well. And then, of course, the aspect of resilience through experience, because there are times when things were not working well in one quarter, but they did not stop. This is a game they played for basically more than a month. So that was resilience to keep coming back, to play again the next quarter and the next quarter. And in there, they were learning, they were persevering, they were making decisions, and then learning how to work under uncertainty. And even when setbacks came in, they were able to bounce back from these setbacks. Again, we cannot say that this entire research was not without any challenges. One of the challenges was delayed progression, resulting in time pressures during decision making. How was this possible? Because we're playing in groups and competing against each other. In a particular group, one group or company cannot progress until all the other companies have submitted their decisions for them to be able to progress to the next level. So that held some teams back, and to try and make sure that they move to the next level. So they were rushed into making decisions, and that became a challenge on their part. The other part was team coordination and consensus building, because we're working in teams. Again, the challenges that come with working in teams, agreeing on what to do, everyone thinking that I think my way is the best. So they had challenges in there. The other one was internet connectivity. Much as we try to play it within the university, trying to ensure that at least there is backup of electricity and connectivity, there are certain things where you don't have control, like the internet provider. So we had those disruptions at times. People want to play, but then there's disruptions, and that also caused a certain delay. And at some point, we even had elections, and there was an internet cutoff. Totally. So we could not play, and that was for almost like 3 weeks. So those are some of the uncertainties that came in. And then, of course, limited familiarity with the simulated market context. This is Africa. Some of the markets that we were engaging with were Amsterdam, New York. People have never been there. They cannot really relate or imagine the kind of market, and then they're expected to actually do sales in those markets. So it was a bit of a challenge in there. Nonetheless, there are a number of lessons that we can learn. One of them is that we can learn by doing, and simulation offers that because it gives us that experience that we can use, and it drives a deeper understanding and engagement when you actually do something and learn from it. You learn from your mistakes and move on. Of course, it also teaches that the teamwork matters a lot, because they had to collaborate when it came to making decisions, or even pushing each other when someone felt like, I think maybe I should stop. But they kept encouraging each other, supporting each other, and working together till the end. And then It also gives us a lesson when it comes to resilience over constraints, that yes, setbacks will always be there, but we must always learn how to adapt, because in real business, that is what actually happens. And then, of course, there was learning when it came to reflection, because every after phase they had to look at the reports, reflect and think, what am I doing wrong? How can I do this better? Before they could actually move forward. And reflection tends to actually inform better decision making. And then it also helped us. One of the things that we learn is that when we use these simulations, they help us to bridge the gap beyond between theory and meaning and practice. So bridging this gap creates a lot of meaningful lessons and actually applicability. And then, of course, confidence grows every time we try to go through experimentation. And that is what business simulations give us, because they give us a chance to put into practice that which we have learned without actually fearing that there is any error that might be fatal. Because when it's an actual business and you make mistakes, you're bound to pay for it. In a simulation, it is safe space for you. Future directives, expanding and scaling up, that if there is a way we can roll out these simulation programs to more students and optimize it for low bandwidth environments, that is something that can work for resource constrained environments like Africa. Then there's a long-term tracking, long-term success, because this was something done over a short period, but we need to have tracer studies of these people we have exposed to these simulations moving forward. How have we impacted them when it comes to making decisions now that they are at the workplace? Is it actually helping, or it stops in the classroom? So having tracer studies would actually help us in that regard. And then also ensuring that as we do design, we should also adapt simulations to local realities, because where we have issues to do with familiar cities, products, I'm glad that Marketplace has started introducing familiar cities, but also market context, the products that we are selling. You talk about a 3D bike, carbon bike. It's something unheard of in Africa. So we have to start envisioning what does it look like and all that. So if we can contextualize it so that it becomes easy, it can improve accessibility, it can improve relevance, and also learner engagement. Because at the end of the day, we can say that effective simulations should be pedagogically sound, technologically accessible, and culturally relevant to the learners that they serve. As I conclude, I can only say that if we want future-ready business leaders, we must let students experience the uncertainty in business before they graduate into it. Thank you so much for listening to me.